A blessed day to you. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times for Friday, November 13, 2020. For today's editorial, blame is not an effective calamity response. The strength with which Typhoon Ulysses, or international name VAMCO, hit Metro Manila and nearby areas on Wednesday night seemed to catch nearly everyone by surprise despite their best efforts to be prepared. Blame, however, is not the best way to deal with the unexpectedly severe impacts of this or any other natural disaster. As the storm approached, apparently adequate updates and warnings were issued by the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or the PAGASA, and the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or the NDRRMC. The latter, in fact, was obliged to offer an apologetic explanation for the numerous text message alerts being sent out to the public, some of whom expressed the sentiment that, while the warnings were appreciated, they perhaps did not need to be sent so frequently. Local government units, or LGUs, along the storm's forecast path, which, because of the storm's size, included just about all of central and southern Luzon, likewise seemed to make appropriate preparations. After all, many of these localities were facing the third typhoon in as many weeks and were keenly aware of what might be in store for them. For those in the Greater Manila region who were not significantly affected by the earlier storms, there was added informative benefit of reports and visuals from areas near the coast as they were hit by Ulysses early on Wednesday. Nevertheless, by the time the storm arrived in the Metro Manila area late Wednesday, its center passed just to the north, near enough for the northern sections of the National Capital Region to feel the force of the storm's southern eye wall just after midnight. Its impact was such that it seemed as though there had been no preparations at all. More than 8 million people, about half of Meralco's customers, lost power for a time, with as many as a fourth of those still waiting for electricity to be restored as of Thursday afternoon. There was considerable wind damage to trees and structures in some areas, and at least 2 cargo ships along Manila Bay were run aground, one causing serious damage to a heavily traveled bridge in Navotas. The biggest threat posed by Ulysses, however, was flooding. Although the amount of rain unloaded over the region by the storm was not as great as in other memorable flooding events such as 2009's Typhoon Ondoy or the intense monsoon rains of 2013, the heavy rains were spread across such a wide area that rivers and streams quickly inundated anything nearby. At one point at mid-morning Thursday, the Marikina River rose above 22 meters. By comparison, the highest the river rose during Ondoy's deadly flooding was 21.5 meters. As daylight finally arrived on Thursday morning to find citizens and rescuers completely overwhelmed by the situation, the recriminations began. The hashtag Nasaan ang Pangulo, or Where's the President, quickly trended in social media for the second time in a month, as the public blamed the national government for being unresponsive, targeting President Duterte in particular as he took time out to attend an online meeting of ASEAN leaders, even as floodwaters from the Pasig River rose into the Malacanang Palace compound. Some government officials, on the other hand, blamed the public for not heeding warnings and LGUs for insufficient preparations or response. None of this blame from either side actually helps to rescue stranded citizens, shelter people who have been displaced, or clean up the damage from the storm. It is not true that the national government, primarily the NDRRMC and the Office of Civil Defense, was doing anything less than could or should. And while it is certainly helpful for the President to offer the public some words of encouragement in the midst of a calamity, it is not his job to personally manage all aspects of the response, but to oversee the agencies designed for the task. Likewise, government officials should exercise a bit more sensitivity and circumspection and not add to the affected public's misery by scolding them for being unprepared or stubborn. The vast majority have been through something like this before, perhaps several times, and are neither ignorant nor careless of their own safety. And for the few who might be, well, they've probably learned their lesson. And that's the editorial for Friday, November 13, 2020. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to the voice of the times.